Hi everyone, welcome to St. Croix Church. Continuing on in the study of James, we're into chapter 3. And the only announcement that I have for this week is that we can Zoom about this again Tuesday night at 8 o'clock, talk about James or about anything really. So if anybody would like to do that, please let us know, or just show that you're interested on the Facebook when Mary Ellen puts it up there in the Facebook group. And then we'll send you an invitation to the Zoom call. Okay, so let's get right into it. James chapter 3, verses 1 to 12. I'm going to read it actually in the NRSV and then again in the Message. I think most of this week's passage is very clear. I do want to sort of look at it a different way, but I think the main meaning of it is pretty clear. So here's the NRSV. You might want to stop here and read it in your own version, and then take notes on it and come back and listen. That might be, I think that would be a great idea. But anyway, so James chapter 3, 1 to 12. Not many of you should become teachers, my brothers and sisters, for you know that we who teach will be judged with greater strictness. For all of us make many mistakes. Anyone who makes no mistakes in speaking is perfect, able to keep the whole body in check with a bridle. If we put bits into the mouths of horses to make them obey us, we guide their whole bodies. Or look at ships. Though they're so large that it takes strong winds to drive them, yet they're guided by a very small rudder wherever the will of the pilot directs. So also the tongue is a small member, yet it boasts of great exploits. How great a forest is set ablaze by a small fire! And the tongue is a fire. The tongue is placed among our members as a world of iniquity. It stains the whole body, sets on fire the cycle of nature, and is itself set on fire by hell. For every species of beast and bird, of reptile and sea creature can be tamed, and has been tamed by the human species, but no one can tame the tongue. A restless evil full of deadly poison. With it we bless the Lord and Father, and with it we curse those who are made in the likeness of God. From the same mouth come blessing and cursing, my brothers and sisters. This ought not to be so. Does a spring pour forth from the same opening both fresh and brackish water? Can a fig tree, my brothers and sisters, yield olives, or a grapevine figs? No more can salt water yield fresh. Okay, there's the NRSV. It's quite close to the Greek that you would read, and here's the Message that'll be a little closer to contemporary English. Eugene Peterson's work. Don't be in any rush to become a teacher, my friends. Teaching is highly responsible work. Teachers are held to the strictest standards, and none of us is perfectly qualified. We get it wrong nearly every time we open our mouths. If you could find someone whose speech was perfectly true, you'd have a perfect person in perfect control of life. A bit in the mouth of a horse controls the whole horse. A small rudder on a huge ship in the hands of a skilled captain sets a course in the face of the strongest winds. A word out of your mouth may seem of no account, but it can accomplish nearly anything or destroy it. It only takes a spark, remember, to set off a forest fire. A careless or wrongly placed word out of your mouth can do that. By our speech, we can ruin the world, turn harmony to chaos, throw mud on a reputation, send the whole world up in smoke and go up in smoke with it, smoke right from the pit of hell. This is scary. You can tame a tiger, but you can't tame a tongue. It's never been done. The tongue runs wild, a wanton killer. With our tongues, we bless God our Father. With the same tongues, we curse the very men and women he made in his image. Curses and blessings out of the same mouth. My friends, this can't go on. A spring doesn't gush fresh water one day and brackish the next, does it? Apple trees don't bear strawberries, do they? Raspberry bushes don't bear apples, do they? You're not going to dip into a polluted mud hole and get a cup of clear, cool water, are you? Okay, it's about the tongue. It's about our speech and how often our speech shows the problems that are deep within our soul. And so this passage is there in telling us that we need to learn how to be transformed. We need to learn how to make the inside of our being clear and pure, and then let our speech be a picture of what's on the inside. So that's what the author wants us to do. Okay, thoughts about this passage. The first verse probably should be translated exactly as it is by every version, but I read it a different way. I was looking at it in Greek and I thought, it's almost possible that this could be something different. And I had in the back of my mind what chapter 2 was all about, because of course the chapter divisions were added much later. They weren't in the original letter. So, in chapter 2, it's talking about make sure that you don't just have some kind of faith, but also that you have actions and works that complete your faith. It's all about living what you say you believe. And then I read not many of you should become teachers, my brothers and sisters, for you know that we who teach will be judged with greater strictness. And I began to imagine it in a slightly different way, and it's a bit of a stretch in Greek, so that's why it's probably not an improvement. But I started to think of it this way. Don't have too many teachers in the community, my brothers and sisters, because we'll receive a greater amount to think about. Life will get too complicated. The Greek could almost mean that. So we normally read it. Not many of you should become teachers, for you know that we who teach will be judged with greater strictness. Well, I like this idea. Don't have too many teachers. Don't have too many people talking about this stuff. Don't get off track. Just live what you believe. That's the way that I wondered about it. Either way, though, the thinking leads pretty quickly to a plea for controlling the tongue. The rest of the passage is very clear in its meaning. And as I've been doing this study in James, I've been so impressed with some of the thinking of Marcus Borg, who said that Jesus had in his heart to build a community where everybody belonged. And he was really challenging the traditional wisdom and the traditional mores of the society, where some people were considered better than others. In the Jewish society, because of their behavior, or their pedigree religiously, or in the Greco-Roman society, because of their behavior, because of their wealth, or because of their class and background, and it seems like Jesus just longed for a community where everybody belonged, and there weren't judgments made and divisions made, and it looks like that's what they tried to build at the beginning in Jerusalem, the first Christian community. I think St. Paul wanted to do exactly the same thing. So I started thinking about this in relationship to speech and relationship to our, to the way that we use our tongues, and I guess I have a kind of a funny source for wisdom. I don't know if you've ever seen episodes from the television show Community. Mary Ellen and I watched them years ago. We didn't see them all, but we thought it was a pretty good show. But recently we started, in the midst of the pandemic, going back, and Netflix is everybody's best friend, and we just started watching right from the beginning, and we've been enjoying the character development, and it's the last thing we do at night. We watch a couple of them before we go to bed, and we're in, I think we're in the middle of, maybe past the middle of season 2. And there is a character played by Chevy Chase, who was we used to love from Saturday Night Live years ago, who he's an older man who's gone back to this community college, and he's part of the study group, and he's, in many ways, he's very shallow. He's an older guy with a lot of insecurities, a lot of wealth, and some privilege, but he really is a character that is easy to feel sorry for through most of the show. And recently he's felt quite rejected by the study group, and he is saying some of the ugliest things that anybody could ever say. He's just letting people have it, and it's so easy to see that it's coming out of his own pain, and I think that's what the architects of the show have designed too. So I started thinking about that, and I thought, if James' main concern is to build the kind of community that Jesus wanted, where everybody belongs without sort of classes and designations based on your behavior or your wealth or anything like that, but if the place where everybody belongs, then I thought, why do we have bad speech? Usually it's because we're feeling threatened or vulnerable ourselves. So often, at least, it is. Somebody, you give a harsh word to somebody else, very often it's because you don't feel valued by them. And so I've been thinking that if the main concern is to build this kind of community, then speech is exactly the place where you would want to focus. You'd want people to learn. This is where our transformation can really be seen. My job is to make you feel secure, and your job is to make me feel secure. And we honor each other, and we show honor to each other. We pay attention to each other's concerns. We lift each other up. When somebody does something well, we say it. When somebody does something badly, we minimize that, and we try to protect them. And so what we do is we create security and belonging. And as we're doing that, our words show it, but it creates a kind of a security in the other so that their words can show it back. There's a return of the favor. We build a solid thing instead of creating the thing that goes all to hell, which is what the author seems concerned about. And I started thinking about it this way. I thought, I wonder if inside of us we all have kind of a belongometer. If we're feeling really solid and secure, we're happy in our life, and we've got this belongometer doing well. If it's, the needle is straight up, then somebody can say something to us, and we can receive it, think about it, gauge it, and we can, give back an appropriate response. But if our belongometer is tilted over towards vulnerable or threatened, then what happens is it's just too easy to lash back with something. It's just like the old fable of the lion with the splinter in its paw. The one who hurts very often is feeling hurt. So if our speech is bad, it may indicate that we feel vulnerable and we're questioning whether or not we really belong. We speak harshly to others, they feel the same way, it all escalates. And if we want to build the new community of love that Jesus envisioned and that James is trying to pastor, we need to be extra vigilant to make sure that others feel as though they are accepted, that they belong, that they're valued. And the result is that they will likely return the favor. So I think that's all I got to say. So hope you have a great week. If you want to talk about this on Tuesday night, let us know. Take care.